Hey guys, welcome back to Distance Learning. Today we're going to be going over week 6, day 2. Just like last time, I'm going to read you all the directions. After I read the directions, I'm going to read the text. And finally, at the end, we'll come back and answer the question. Let me go ahead and get my face off of here, and we're going to begin right now. Objective. Today you will read pages 1 to 7 and answer questions about the text. Directions. Read the text pages 1 to 7 one time with minimal interruptions. Answer the questions below using complete sentences. Pay attention to grammar and punctuation. Be sure to use evidence from the text to support your answer. So again, all this is really asking us to do is read the text first, then come back here and answer the questions in complete sentences. Okay? Let's scroll back up so we can actually read the text now. All right, introduction. Have you ever watched lightning during a big storm at night? Did you know that a lightning bolt is a natural form of electricity? But most electricity is made by people. When you turn on a light, you are using electricity made by people. Electricity has become a very important part of our lives. It's hard to imagine the world without it. Magnetism is also a familiar part of our world. Perhaps you have played with magnets. Magnetism is closely related to electricity. This book will teach you about electricity and magnetism. It will also explain how they are connected. And here we can see all these lightning bolts coming out of the sky, striking the ground. What is electricity? You just learned that electricity can be produced naturally. It can also be made by people. But what is electricity? It is a form of energy. Energy is what makes things happen. For example, the energy in sunlight makes plants grow. Producing electricity. Now that you know how electricity can be used to make a magnet. But did you know that magnets can also be used to make electricity? Scientists learned how to do this in the 1800s. They discovered that if a coil of wire is moved through a magnetic field, an electric current flows through the wire. The same thing happens in reverse when a magnet is moved through a coil of wire. Scientists used that discovery to build machines called electrical generators. Cities once mostly dark at night became bright with electric lighting. Today, generators with large, powerful magnets are used to produce electricity. This important form of energy is used to provide light and power for homes and offices. These generators inside a dam use water to spin a giant magnet. The electricity we use every day is produced at power plants. These places use huge generators to make AC current. Electromagnets in the generator spin inside coils of wire. One of 3 main energy sources spins the magnets. They are steam, rushing water, and wind. Steam. Most power plants produce electricity by boiling water to make steam. They do this in one of several ways. By burning coal or oil, by releasing the energy in atoms, by using focused sunlight. And just to, reiterate, here you see a picture of a power plant. As we're about to see in a second, over on this side, here goes a picture of a dam. We use both of these tools to help us make electricity or energy that we use every day in our lives. The steam produced in power plants spins large blades in a machine called a turbine. The turbine is connected to the magnets in a generator. As the turbine blades spin, they make the magnets spin. The moving magnets produce an electrical current. Water. Some power plants are part of large dams. A dam stops the flow of a river. A big lake forms behind the dam. The water from the lake rushes through openings at the bottom of the dam. The water spins the turbine blades. The turbines are connected to magnets in a generator. The spinning blades make the magnets spin. And here is an example of that, as I just stated, an example of a dam that we use to make power that we use in our everyday lives. The largest dam in the world is in the Three Gorges Dam in China. This hydroelectric dam is 185 meters or 606 feet high and 2,335 meters, which is also 7,660 feet wide. Wind. The power of wind can also be used to make electricity. This is done with machines called wind turbines. They look like huge airplane propellers. The turbines transfer their energy to a generator. And here's an example of these wind turbines. The blades of some wind turbines are as long as a truck. Delivering electricity. Current leaving a power plant has to go a long way before it gets used. It is passed through a large device called a transformer. The transformer greatly increases the voltage of the current. The extra volts push the electricity long distances through cables. The electricity in the cables is too strong to be used in homes and factories. The voltage must be reduced first. This is done by using another kind of transformer that is far from the power station. This transformer lowers the voltage to about 120 volts. And guys, the 120 volts is pretty much what we use in most of our appliances like lights or TVs, etc. inside of our houses. Large cables called power lines can carry electricity hundreds of miles to transformers that reduce the voltage for use. And these are examples of these power lines. You might have seen these around, especially if you live, I guess I want to say a rural area. You see more of these. You may not see them in the city, but they are around. They help us to the current or the electricity to travel from one place to another. Electricity and magnetism in today's world. For thousands of years, people had no electricity. Work was done with the muscle power of humans and other animals. Candles and oil lamps provided light. Magnetism was something in unusual rocks called lodestones. Lightning was a mystery. No one understood electricity or magnetism, and they had no idea that the two things are related. But today, electricity and magnetism are well understood and widely used. Magnets are used in computer hard drives, stereo speakers, credit cards, and many other devices. And as you just learned, large magnets are used at power plants to generate electricity. Electricity powers most of the things we use in our everyday lives. More than ever, we depend on electrical energy. All cars use magnets and electricity. Some use electricity instead of gas. And if you've ever seen a Tesla or a Tesla car, those cars are entirely powered by electricity. Alright, so now we're back where we started. We're going to answer these questions. On the left side, we're going to see the chunked text. This is where they cut a piece of the text and paste it here so we can get more information to answer the question. In the middle is the actual question itself. It says text-dependent questions. This is what we're going to be answering, which leads us to our final last box, which is on the far right, evidence-based response. This is where we're going to write our answer. Let's go ahead, let's read the question, then we'll look at the chunk text, and finally we'll answer the question. Define the word electricity. Right here, there's actually going to be, this question is going to be in two parts. Let's read to define the electricity first, and then we'll look at the next part after we're done with that. You just learned that electricity can be produced naturally. It can also be made by people. But what is electricity? It is a form of energy. Energy is what makes things happen. For example, the energy in sunlight makes plants grow. So what is electricity? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to go ahead and write your answer. Then we'll move on to the next part of the question. Right, so electricity is a form of energy. Let's look at the next part of the question now. Which details does the author include in order to help you understand what the word electricity means? So is there an example here that the author gave us that helps us to understand what electricity means or what it does? Go ahead and write your answer. Does the author give us any example that helps us to understand what electricity means or what it does? So the author explains that electricity, just like sunlight, is a form of energy. And energy is what makes things happen. So he includes that example or that comparison between electricity and the sunlight and how they're both energy to help us understand what electricity is. How is electricity produced? Use details in the text in order to explain your answer. Let's go ahead and let's read again to figure out how electricity is produced. But did you know that magnets can also be used to make electricity? Scientists learned how to do this in the 1800s. They discovered that if a coil wire is moved through a magnetic field, an electric current flows through the wire. The same thing happens in reverse when a magnet is moved through a coil of wire. Scientists used that discovery to build machines called electrical generators. Cities, once mostly dark at night, became bright with electric lighting. Today, generators with large, powerful magnets are used to produce electricity. This important form of energy is used to provide light and power for homes and offices. So again, the question asks us, how is electricity produced? How is electricity made? I'll give you 10 seconds to write your answer. And remember, the author gives us more than one example, but we're just looking for one example of how electricity is made. Right, so scientists discovered that if you have a coil of wire that's within a magnetic field, an electric current or electricity will flow through that wire. So that is one way that electricity is produced. But of course, we just learned about dams, we learned about a little bit about wind power, and those things also produce electricity. So there are multiple ways to get this correct. But I'll leave it to you as far as what you want to write, as long as you have one answer that makes sense. How are magnetism and electricity related? Be sure to use details from the text in order to support your answer. So how are magnetism and electricity related? For this one, I'm just going to read this last paragraph because the answer is here. But today, electricity and magnetism are well understood and widely used. Magnets are used in computer hard drives, stereo speakers, credit cards, and many other devices. And as you just learned, large magnets are used at power plants to generate electricity. Electricity powers most of the things we use in our everyday lives. More than ever, we depend on electrical energy. How are they related? How are magnetism and electricity related? I'll give you 10 seconds to write your answer. All right, so we've learned that magnets can actually be used to create electricity. So related because of the fact that magnets can be used to create electricity. Last question. Summarize what you've learned about electricity and its role in our everyday lives. Be sure to use details from the text in order to support your answer. Here they just want you to talk about what you learned about electricity and how we use it in our day-to-day lives. It would be great if we can get 3 to 5 sentences here about what we learned about electricity and how we use it in our day-to-day lives. Again, I'll give you about 10 seconds to do this, and then we'll end our lesson for today. All right, guys, we're about done for today. If you have any questions about the lesson today, please feel free to reach out to your teacher. Again, feel free to watch the video again if at any point I was moving too quickly. I look forward to seeing everyone very soon for week 7. Stay safe, and I will see you guys as soon as possible. Take care.